Hey everyone, Al Fragnoli, Zach Sooty. We're joined today on Legal Leaders by Greg Kigar. Greg is the Assistant General Manager of Stadium Events and Operations for the Lansing Lugnuts, the single A affiliate of the Oakland A's. Greg, thanks so much for chatting with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate the time and look forward to some good discussion.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on with us. We know you got an extensive background in the sports world, so we're looking forward to picking your brain a little bit and asking you a couple of questions. So, Greg, as I mentioned, you've got a ton of experience in the sports world. You started as an intern at Central Michigan University. Zach knows how much we love to have our Chippewas on our little show here. So fire up chips.
Can't have enough chips.
There's no such thing. Absolutely not. From Central Michigan, once you moved on from there, you went on to spend several years at the University of Notre Dame, which, in my opinion, is one of the most beautiful campuses in the world.
Absolutely.
You were their intramural and club sports director over there for several years. You were an event manager and director of operations at with Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Coliseum, the Dow Event Center, Great Lakes Loons. In minor league baseball, you were a professor at Northwood University for some time. You were a regional sales manager for SNA, a local sports company in Grand Rapids. You were an assistant athletic director at Central Michigan University, so you went back to your alum there. And now on to the Lansing Lugnuts as the assistant general manager, as we mentioned. So a ton of experience in the sports world. Why don't you just talk to us a little bit for a couple minutes here about your journey throughout your sports career and maybe one or two of your most memorable stops that you've had?
Well, I mean, hearing that out loud, it kind of sounds like I can't keep a job, but everything was good. I just, it's been a blessing and a curse of mine. I love new challenges. I love to learn things. Started with a quick stop at Ferris State as a part-time adult after graduation. So I started in college athletics. And after about a year and a half, decided at that time it was really about getting a master's degree and giving yourself a leg up as you moved on. So that's how I went and got my graduate degree and ended up back at Central to do the internship. And that I switched from college athletics to campus recreation, and that's where I stuck. I was at Notre Dame for 6 years, and talk about an experience. From a small town in mid-Michigan. Obviously being fans of Michigan and Michigan State, Notre Dame was the bad guy. So to get thrust into everything that's about Notre Dame, it was incredible. We talk about beautiful campuses, our offices at Notre Dame. The campus recreation office is a part of athletics, so we got involved in basketball, football, anything that they had to offer, we had a chance to work. Matter of fact, I started working the scores table for the men's games, and I was there the day that the Fab Five of Michigan, the first time the 5 freshmen started. So it was again, from a kid in Michigan, to see something like that, and it was just one of those things that's so. Anybody that knows anything about college football or college anything knows that Notre Dame is one of those places where they love them or hate them. Once you're thrust into that, you just soak it in. So it was really tough leaving that, but I had an opportunity with a guy I went to graduate school with to, again, branch out a new challenge, and that's how I ended up in Jacksonville. He was looking for an event manager, minor league ice hockey, which is its own special spice of life down in Florida, trying to keep a sheet of ice nice and cool when it's 99 degrees out all summer. But that was great. I got involved in a lot of concerts. What was really nice about that experience is the management company also ran the stadium where the Jacksonville Jaguars played. And then the third side of that whole parking lot is where the Jacksonville Suns AA baseball team, and at the time they were a Tigers affiliate. So I got thrust into a lot of different experiences with those 3 sports. But you can't keep a Michigan kid out of Michigan. I had a chance to come back and do some of the other things. But again, it's between campus recreation and college athletics and minor league sports. I always soaked it in as a kid. I was a small town 3-sport athlete and was never afraid of a challenge. So I kind of traveled all the way around to come back near home. So now in Lansing, got an opportunity a year and a half ago to come back, and loving my time working in events, other special events, but baseball is the thing. So it's been a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Even my time at Northwood, coming at the time with 25 to 30 years experience, I think I brought a real unique perspective to the students who are just thinking about making that their life. And for every, we pull out the book and start going through some things like, okay, shut the book here. I'm going to tell you 3 stories that the book isn't going to tell you. And that's when you really know that you've kind of reached the peak, or soon to be the peak, is now you're the guy with the stories that you're sharing with everybody so they can learn. That was one of the biggest things with my students. Like, you're going to make your own mistakes, but there's no sense in making the same mistake the guy next to you made. And so keep your eyes and ears open and learn from everybody, everything. And it's been a unique journey, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So that's a wonderful journey, and I love you boomerang back to Michigan, the prestige of Notre Dame, getting the experiences in Jacksonville. That's awesome that you can't keep a kid out of Michigan, right?
Right.
So that's awesome. So how do facilities or event operations differ from a university setting to a minor league baseball team? Or do you believe the skills that you possess throughout your career are pretty transferable between those industries?
Well, I'll answer that in 2 ways, because I think most of those skills transfer no matter where you're going to go, because you're always going to have to stay organized. You're always going to have to communicate. I think the only true difference is, and it probably depends on the university you select. I know people around Central Michigan hate the word mid-major because they want to be able to dominate whoever they're playing. But that's the moniker of the MAC schools and some of the other conferences, is that they're mid-majors because their budgets aren't what they want it to be, and you're going to work twice as hard to do some of the same things that the Michigan and Michigan States and Purdue's are doing, and that's what it is. But I would guess the main real difference is just the number of facilities you have, and the number of coaches you're serving under, because you have 16, 17 sports. You got your head coach and 3 or 4 or 7 assistant coaches, and everybody wants your time. Everybody wants the top of the priority list, and there's still only so much budget money to go around. And although the football programs want to be the most important thing in your life, and they want you to treat them that way, at the end of the day, the field hockey team is just as important. So a few battles here and there, but at the end of the day, it's just about your operations team serving the best of their ability to make everybody successful, because at the end of the day, you're really working with the marketing team, and you're working with the ticket office, and you're working with the sales team. Because, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of things we told our students, is the job we're doing 7 hours before a football game is going to make everybody successful. So, let the marketing interns and let all these interns come in an hour before the game, and you're here 6 hours before the game. But you know what? They're successful because we're letting them come into the arena or the stadium, and we've set it up all nice for them, and they're going to be successful because we've made it. So that's really the difference, that the number of facilities, the number of people kind of holding your attention. And right now, having one facility is kind of nice. And with, I've been in facilities where it was a private owner, so you're really dealing with that one person. With Lansing, it's a city-owned facility, so they have their own set of maintenance crews. So there's some things they allow you to do. There's some things you got to call in and they have to do. And sometimes the coaches are so happy that sometimes that takes some time. But it goes back to communication and organization, and let them know, what, if some things just take some time. And right now, with some people finally coming back, everyone's short-staffed, and we're just trying to do the best we can do. So it's been interesting, but that's really the major difference.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Greg. I'm sure anybody who's worked in college athletics would agree that college sports can certainly be a grind. You mentioned there's a lot of teams, there's a lot of coaches, a lot of student athletes, a lot of people that you got to make sure that you're spreading all that love to them, and you got to make sure that everybody's happy.
Right. And don't forget summer camps, because everyone's summer camp is ultra important. So there's nothing like an off season anymore for anybody. So, it is what it is, or was what it was. It's everybody's important, and they're trying to get that edge, whether it's recruiting or whatever. So there's everything's important. And
Absolutely.
You got to take that to heart, that everything's important to everybody. So
For sure. Absolutely. That's some good points right there. Moving into our next question, Greg, you've been with the Lansing Lugnuts for a little over a year now. What do you love most about your current role with the team?
well, the reason I got involved with them, and I was, since Tyler Parsons, our GM, has been there in the 3-year range, and Tyler, again, him and I went back to the Central days, as you did. They're one of those organizations that love to think outside the box, and that's perfect for me. I've been with some companies that we don't do that, and so we're going to say no, and we're not even going to think about it. We have the opportunity to say, okay, it might not be in our wheelhouse, but let's think of a way that we can at least try it year one. Maybe it'll be successful, maybe it won't, but we rarely say, we're just not good at that. So we're really good at saying, look, give us a few days to think if we can do that successfully, and we'll come back to you. And the Lemonade League is one of those things that once our season last year appeared that it was going to go away, it's okay, let's try to think of a way that we can still do some things. So we sat down for 3 or 4 meetings, and Summer Collegiate Wood Bat League was one of those things that we thought we could do well. And it was about, me being in the college game. I knew the Michigan State coach, I knew the Northwood coach, I knew the Saginaw Valley coach, I knew the Central coach. So it was a matter of just reaching out and say, hey, if we did this, would there be guys, am I spinning my wheels and wasting some time? Or do you think we could get 2 teams together and we could play a series of games over a few weeks and be successful? And at the end of the day, they thought it was a good idea. It helped that a couple of smaller leagues in the state decided not to play. So at the end of the day, we played 20 Lemonade League games. We had over 40 kids in it. We had 2 teams. They played each other 3 or 4 times a week. And the way we set it up is, since we could not have anybody in the seating bowl, but we had capacity of 100, we treated our banquet hall out in the outfield as a restaurant. People signed up in 2 or 4 tables as a reservation. They came in, ate all outside, and they just happened to be watching a baseball game. So and the fun of it was we got to make our own rules. So we had 7-inning games. We used a yellow baseball. We had our own logo, and our big thing, which we didn't ever have to use, which is unfortunate, but we had no extra innings. And if we did, it was going to be a 1-on-1 home run derby. And we ended up not being able to use it, which was unfortunate because we were prepared every time there was a late inning tie game, and somehow somebody would take the lead and we didn't have one. But it was for as non-memorable, I think a lot of teams or facilities, they're 2020. Ours, it'll be something I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Love the Lemonade League, and I wish you had a home run derby. That would have been fun to tune in and see.
We were excited to, we get 5 and 5 at the top of the last inning, and I'd radio to the groundskeeper, making sure the L screen was ready to go, and they'd throw that in, and I'd grab the bucket of balls, and just somebody would score late, and that would be the end of it. And the tough part was a couple of walk-off wins. We had to just temper down, people's emotions, because they couldn't high five, they couldn't hug each other. It's like, okay, if this happens, you gotta cool it. You can't, and now it's kind of nice because everything is kind of back to normal. It's kind of good to see. And that's the first thing we told the kids at our very first meeting. It's like, this is unlike anything you've ever done. So whatever you know about baseball growing up, this is going to be the opposite of that. And so we tried to give them the best experience we could. And I think it was good. We had a lot of guys reach out wondering if we were going to do it this summer, and we just couldn't do it with the schedule. And we hope to make something out of it yet again at some point, but we couldn't do a year or 2 of it.
Awesome. And congratulations on that Lemonade League. So
it was fun.
Final question. Yeah. Final question for you. We have a lot of, college students who tune in, those who are just beginning their careers in sports. So what is some advice that you would give someone that is looking to get their start in the sports industry, or has that first job just getting in?
I mean, there's so many things. One of the first things I was told is you're never not on an interview. So if you're at a national conference and you're at the bar acting a fool, somebody's going to notice that, and somehow that person's going to be at the other side of the desk when you go to get that first or second job, and it's just inevitable. So I was always told, if when you're out in public, you're always at an interview, whether you think you are or not. You just know, something's going to happen down the road. But I would really say that don't limit yourself. Try to learn as much as you can, even if it's in your job description or not. I'm probably the best example. I have so many different experiences that when Tyler was looking for somebody in events, and then COVID hit and they needed somebody to run the operational side of it, I had so many years of operational experience too. I felt very comfortable learning the system and making decisions that not only good for the small picture, but also the big picture. And I think, people have to realize that they may not agree with a supervisor's decision, but it's because it may not be for the good of the big picture. And unless you know really what the big picture is, that you just got to trust that your supervisors are doing the best that they can to, provide you with a good experience. And sometime whatever the decision isn't because it's good for the big picture, whether it's, financially or otherwise. But really, don't limit yourself. Try to get your foot in the door somewhere. Maybe marketing is going to be your thing and there's just nothing out there. But you want to get in the sports world, find a way to get in it, and don't limit your opportunities.
That's all awesome information that you've shared with us, Greg. And we want to thank you for coming on with us. You shared so many good details. We've loved hearing about your journey through the sports world. I love that you mentioned there for the younger people that are looking to work in sports, that you're always on an interview when you're out in public. I love that. That really stood out to me. I mean, you just never know who you're going to bump into out there. So you always want to act professional out there because you're representing yourself, right? So I love that point. You also mentioned something that stood out to me earlier when we were talking, that you've worked for other organizations. There's other companies out there that don't always encourage thinking outside the box, and that's not what the Lansing Lugnuts are doing. And I think one thing that COVID has taught everybody is that you have to be able to adapt and be able to adapt to change. And the companies that are able to adapt to change are able to survive and thrive. And I think what you guys did by thinking outside the box with that Lemonade League is pretty darn impressive. And kudos to you guys, to you, Tyler, and the rest of the staff with the Lansing Lugnuts there. I absolutely love hearing stories like that. So again, we thank you for joining us. We know you're a busy guy. You're getting into full swing here with the season, 100% capacity. So we thank you for joining us, and we wish you, Tyler, and the rest of the, should we say, the Central Michigan Chippewa staff and the Lansing Lugnuts the best of luck this season.
Oh, I appreciate it. And yeah, anytime you guys need some experiential device of just giving people a chance to listen to 30 years of experience, I'd be glad to hop on again.
Awesome. Thank you again, Greg. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, guys.